Hey guys, Hypolast here. Instead of playing Duel of Champions today, I thought I'd do something different and just talk about Duel of Champions. So I'm bringing you my new series, Card Game Theory. This series is intended to help Duel of Champions players, among other card game players, talk about the game a little bit more formally, help convey their ideas a little bit better, and for those of you who might be a little less familiar with card games, just help you kind of understand what's going on better on a deeper level past the cards. To give you some history about myself, I've been playing Magic the Gathering for over 10 years. 3 of those I've been playing semi-professionally. I played Hearthstone for a little over a year and had mild success with that. I also currently work as a game designer and developer, and part of my job is to mechanically analyze video games, figure out the building blocks and fundamentals behind them, and analyze them in much the same way as this series is going to try to do with card games. Many of these theories I didn't come up with myself. These are established theories in the card game community. Lots of CCGs implement these ideas very well, and knowing these will help you be good at more than just Duel of Champions, but probably Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh, and a lot of other different TCGs as well. The WoW TCG, for example. So I hope you find this interesting, and let's hop right in. First topic is card advantage. This is one of the most basic and important ideas to know in most CCGs. So what is card advantage? Well, first of all, card advantage is a type of advantage. More specifically, it expresses when one player has more cards than the other. Card advantage represents the difference in cards between players. That is to say, if you have 3 cards in hand and 2 on the battlefield, so 5 cards in total, and your opponent has no cards in hand and 3 on the battlefield, 3 in total, then you have card advantage. More specifically, you would have 2 cards worth of card advantage, or informally, you are up 2 cards. Let's take a look at some card advantage in action. This is the example board we're going to be using to lay out sample positions. For our first position, we're going to give each player 2 shark guards. You are going to have 2 firebolts in your hand, and your opponent's only going to have 1. For this example, we're not going to consider players drawing cards. We're also going to assume that each player always has the resources necessary to play whatever they'd like. On your first turn, you can attack for 4 with your shark guards, and then play both of your firebolts to kill both of your opponent's shark guards. On your opponent's turn, they can use their firebolt to kill one of your shark guards. Then on your turn, you can attack for 2, and attack for 2 more on each of your subsequent turns in order to win the game. If we go back to the starting position and count the cards here, you have 2 in your hand and 2 on the board, so you have 4 cards. Your opponent only has 1 in their hand and 2 on their board, so they have 3, so you're up 1 card. After using both your firebolts, you're still up 1 card, and after your opponent uses their firebolt, you're still up 1 card. You're able to use that 1 card extra in order to win the game. By examining situations like this, we can make generalized assumptions about the game. That's how every theory starts off, with an assumption. In this case, it's that on average, using 1 card will cause your opponent to go down 1 card, and vice versa. And that allows us to come to a conclusion, which is that the player with card advantage will win. The reason we say this is because after all the trading is done, whoever has cards left over, that is, whoever started off with card advantage, is the only person with the resources left to actually try to win the game. Let's take a look at another example and see if we can expand this theory a little bit. This time, I'm going to start off each player with 3 cards, except the card in your hand is going to be a forked firebolt, while the card in your opponent's hand is still just a regular firebolt. On your first turn, you can use your forked firebolt to kill both of your opponent's shark guards and then attack them for 4. On their turn, they can use their firebolt to kill one of your shark guards, and do nothing else. Then on your next turn, you get to attack them for 2, then attack them for 2 again on each of your turns until you win the game. So what happened there? At the beginning of the game, we each had 3 cards, but by the end of the game, you were up a card. The reason is because after using the forked firebolt, you were up a card. The forked firebolt was able to shift the card advantage into your favor, which caused you to win the game. This lets us augment what we know about card advantage by saying that it can be gained with 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s, or etc. For those of you who don't know what I mean by a 2-for-1 or a 3-for-1, go ahead and pause the video and read that blurb down at the bottom. When we talk about 2-for-1s or 3-for-1s, what we're talking about are cards like Forked Firebolt, Geyser, or the Banshee. These are all great examples of cards that can net you card advantage. But not every card is a 2-for-1 or even a 1-for-1. Sometimes a card isn't even a card. What I mean by this is that sometimes a card will inherently be card disadvantage. Common sources of card disadvantage include cards that move other cards between hand and board, give temporary abilities or stats, or only partially remove a creature. Some examples of these would be Town Portal, Zephyria's Celerity, and Moonsilk Strand. If you consider playing any one of these cards, you'll see that after playing it, you're down a card, which is whichever one of these cards you've just played, whereas your opponent has the same number of cards as they started with. Something to keep in mind though is that just because a card is card disadvantage doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. Card advantage is just one type of advantage that you can have in a game. There are a lot of other advantages that we'll be looking at in future videos that could cause you to win the game. In fact, modern theory suggests that this theory may actually be too naive and isn't actually a good indicator of who's winning the game. However, despite the fact that this may be naive, it's still a solid foundation to base a lot of your decisions on in-game, and gaining card advantage is usually a solid choice. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback about this video. If you have any comments or questions about anything I talked about, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube or on Reddit. I promise I'll read every single comment you guys leave, and I'll respond to as many of them as I can. I'll see you guys in the next video.